political interests. So therefore, they build political movements around the identity. Whenever there is a coalition is formed, they are more flexible because their priorities are not political. They're just demands which serve their interests. We talked a little bit about the Yair Lapid's movement. There is a future, and they inherited the Zionist left, and now they form the center left parties symbolically only, not they. There are a lot of mistakes we make in understanding. We always judge by the dichotomy of good and bad. Yair Lapid, of course, he is a journalist. I remember a time when he interviewed me. Yair Lapid, he announced his movement in the Ariel settlement to send a message that he is, if there is any peace with the Palestinians, he accepts withdrawal, but not from the settlements. He has a mentality of security, but he is liberal socially and economically. He represents the Western lifestyle inside Israel. The other movement, I think this movement will stay and it will always have influence because this class is there, the middle class, the middle class, the businessmen. They want peace, but they want peace on their conditions. Of course, the nationalists are on the expansion. Benny Gantz, who was the former chief of staff, who was followed by Eisenkot. This is a movement which focuses on security matters primarily, and they are secularist, but he was prepared, instead of relying on Arab votes, by the way, they were prepared to give their votes to him. He went with Netanyahu and became defense minister, and he led the war on Gaza in 2014. And you may know his name because the former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett used to refuse to meet with the Palestinian leaders and President Mahmoud Abbas, and he used to send him instead. And this was a message in its own that whoever meets with Mahmoud Abbas is a security official, not the foreign minister, which means the issue of Palestinians should be dealt with from the point of view of security and not foreign relations. In Israel, they call this the mentality of the suburbs. This is how it's known. It's in Israel, because they say that if there is a district where armed men live amongst them, then Israel can bomb them into smithereens because basically they live in a military barracks or camp. This is their justification. I finished the political side of this, but I want to say a few words about the Israeli economy, because sometimes we underestimate these matters. Israel in the last 10 years, has become one of the advanced capitalist states in the world. And if you look at the economic crisis of 2008, Israel was not impacted by it, and Israel continued its growth, and this is the GDP. We're not talking about a rentier economy. It's an industrialized country. They manufacture things, they sell weapons. If you want to see, this is the rate of the inflation, less than half a percentage point. So this is a strong economy. Expenditure on R&D expenditure on research and development is 5.5%. 5.5% of the gross domestic product goes on R&D, and this includes also universities, army institutes developing weapons technologies, etc. And of course, this situation continues, although I'm talking about political division, 5 elections in 4 months, but the economy still grows and the country is stable, so that we know what we're dealing with. Of course, when it comes to the rate of export, and this has increased by 350%. This is high-tech services and industries and the technology, high-tech sector. Now, there are many things I do not have time to allude to, but if we want to discuss where does Israel export its 30% of Israel exports go to the United States, 28% to China, 5.1% India, then comes Europe, Holland first, then the United Kingdom, Belgium, Turkey, etc. And lately I was looking at Arab countries. There are exports which are not announced, of course. To the Israel exports to the UAE by the amount of 340 million, Egypt 121 million, then Morocco and other countries. This is after normalization, so 348 million to the UAE, 121 million to Egypt. Not big numbers, but there are exports. I think the security aspect of this is not made public. So this, of course, means other things. That this means that Israel is linked to the world. It's not an isolated country. So there are ways of pressurizing it because they have an advanced economy, a high standard of living. Until 1967, Israel was a Sparta, and then the economy was almost socialist now, and Israel is an advanced industrial state, a capital state, which means it can be impacted by the world and it can be impacting the world. And of course, Israel is not a country which is isolated that you cannot apply pressure to. It's a country which can influence the world and be influenced by the world through this network of relations. Also, the percentage of military expenditure and is very high, but it's less than Saudi Arabia. Military expenditure as a percentage of the GDP is very high, but it's less than many Arab countries. We think Israel is all about military expenditure. No, there are Arab countries It's not, in fact, the size of the expenditure, but how you manage it and who manages it. And it's not a matter of just piling up weapons, buying them and stocking them. In fact, in fact, the Israel's percentage of GDP on military expenditure is less than other countries like Saudi Arabia, but it's all to do with the nature of the the country.
So, of course, when it comes to the percentage of government expenditures, we can see that Arab countries spend more, some Arab countries spend more. Of course, if you have any questions regarding these topics, we can discuss it at a later stage. When it comes to the Arabs inside Israel, so there is some confusion, some ambiguity when it comes to how to deal with the Arab votes and the Knesset. Do they vote or do they abstain? And if they partake, can they change? Can they have an influence? Of course, as a result of the ideological positions or the preconceived ideas regarding this topic, and sometimes because of the lack of information, and this is not, or people are not to be blamed because of this. So the Arab public opinion lived in many states that use the Palestinian cause as a tool, even against other Arab countries. So the Arab regimes did not, or were not concerned about spreading awareness. So people are against Israel. They do not need to know the details. However, sometimes there is policy that is adopted to spread the unknown. So we're talking about 19% of the population of the state. So actually, they felt they were not seen. Some people considered them traitors because they have Israeli citizenship. They did not understand that because any country you are born in, you hold their citizenship or their nationality. And during the peace process, some people considered them heroes. So, but we need to know that the Arabs of Israel are part of the Palestinian people. There are different currents. There's right, there's left, there's people working with the state. Some people joined the Zionist parties, just like all Arabs. So nothing special about the situation. So for me, in order to avoid generalizing, be it positive or negative, and in order not to issue value judgment without critical thinking, the Arabs in the last elections, here you can see the Arab votes. So 53 to 54% voted. It is difficult to know the exact figures because there are several mixed cities. So the estimate is 53 to 54%. Among the Jewish, we're talking about 70.5% as a percentage. So a higher percentage by approximately 20%. So Arab parties, three